Welcome to Keep What You Earn, your judgment and jargon free zone for entrepreneurs of all levels. Get ready to learn how to scale your business, save money in taxes, and create a business that grows your wealth. If it feels like the financial side of business is like eating your vegetables, well, then think of this podcast as the ranch dressing to make the process a little more enjoyable. My name is Shannon Weinstein. I'm a CPA and business owner on a mission to simplify money and empower others through knowledge. I hope this episode inspires you to take action, but remember that the information we share is for educational purposes only and is not individual tax advice. Now that we got that out of the way, let's start the show. Hey, welcome back to the show. As promised, I am going to be wrapping up my series that I've done on the financial priority formula. Now, if you haven't listened, go back and look for the financial priority formula episodes. They're all in the title for part 1, part 2. This is part 3. And we're covering over the course of these episodes the 7 different elements of the financial priority formula in order and basically giving you guidance split up every few episodes on what you can do to go action these steps and make sure that you have a healthy, thriving business financially. So, first we have gross margin. We covered that. We covered operating profit, and then we covered cash flow. Now, these are really around the operations of your business. What these are trying to do is ensure that if money comes into your business, that it's a good home, that your business is a trustworthy place to put the money, because we know that it's a machine that will help make more money, that you're not going to waste it. It's not going to leak out. So if we're already sure that we have a secure place to put the money in your business, if your bank account is secure, not literally, but through these different metrics, we understand that money is safe here because we're not going to overspend it. We're going to keep it, safe and secure. Then we move on to finding more money to put in the machine, of course. And here are a couple of ways we do that. The next couple of metrics that we cover in the formula are number 4 and 5, which I cannot decide which one comes first. So I'm going to do them in a particular order, but really they're kind of interchangeable. And that's number 4, client lifetime value, and number 5, client acquisition cost, commonly known as an LTV and CAC. Now, LTV is really the lifetime gross margin of your client. So if you understand your gross margins for every single client, you can then extract out, okay, I now know that every client on average, I make $1,000 gross margin. Let's say let's go back to the top. I make $2,000 revenue per client per month. It costs me $1,000 to serve them, which is a 50% gross margin. It's actually not super great, but work with me, easy math. So it costs me $1,000, which means I have $1,000 left over as my gross margin per client per month. A client stays with me on average for 2 years. That means that my average LTV is about $24,000. Makes sense? Because you're making after the cost, you're making $1,000 a month, and they stay with on average with you 24 months or 2 years. So that adds up to $24,000. Now, if you say my LTV is 24,000, okay, Shan, great. What does that mean? What is this telling me? It's going to help provide you a benchmark, because if you look at every new client acquisition, and your LTV will be different for different types of clients that are, you know, customers of different types of offers. So understand that the average customer spends about X dollars with you over their lifetime, and that's really it. And you can understand now what you're willing to pay. So we're getting to CAC, what you're willing to pay to acquire that customer. So think of it this way. It's basically looking at, when I put a coin in the slot machine, how much money it gives back to me. And is that a good deal? So if you were to put a dollar in the slot machine and then $10 came out, I would put money in that machine all day long. I'm sure you would too. So when we look at LTV to CAC, we're looking at lifetime value, which is in this case my $24,000 in my example, versus the client acquisition cost. And we want that to be a multiple of, ideally, many times. You know, when I look at these metrics, I typically look at above 8, maybe 10 is like super amazing. But you really should be looking at that and really evaluating if this is a good ratio for you. based on your industry. CAC, though, client acquisition cost. Here's how you measure it, and I'm going to use this as an example. So let's say you go out fishing, and over the course of 6 hours, you catch two fish, but you caught those two fish both in the last 10 minutes of your trip. So if someone says to you, "Hey, on average, how long does it take you to catch a fish?" Technically, based on the calculation that we use for CAC, understand that your average time to catch a fish was 3 hours. Why? Cuz you caught two over the course of 6 hours. I don't care that it took you on average like 5 minutes to catch both of them at the last second. You were out there for 6 hours fishing. You spent the time fishing. So, on average, it takes you 6 hours to catch 2. It takes you 3 hours to catch 1. Got it? Cool. So, we look at CAC the same way. We look at all of the money you've spent on acquisition activities. That can be on even your podcast. Even for me, I include the cost to run this show in my acquisition cost formula. And then I also look at, paid ads, paid media. I look at appearances or travel or networking groups and dues and appearances and all these other tickets to things, right? Events, conferences, if I'm going to market myself, right? Or speak. So travel, all these things. At the end of the day, it's not just paid media. So understand that there are acquisition costs left and right hitting your business that you should be factoring in. And then you should take that and then divide it by the number of clients you newly acquired during that same time frame. And I think you'll be stunned to realize how much higher your CAC is than you think. Because CAC is really, when you look at it this way, let's just say I got a lead from an event that cost me $500. And that lead ended up becoming a $5,000 client. You could say, wow, Shan, you made 10x your investment in that event. For $500, you turned it into 5 grand. Yes, on a micro level, that is correct. And that was a worthwhile investment. Separately, though, if you look at that was the only lead I generated, but I actually spent like 50 grand over the course of the year in communities, in networking, in conferences, in all these different areas, in ads, then really, did I make out okay for the year? When you zoom out and you look at CAC overall, you have to look at it like, well, what did I spend on all of these different efforts throughout the year? What did I get out of it? And was that really a good return overall? As opposed to looking at it at a micro level, let's zoom out and go macro. So when we look at CAC, we want to be zooming out and looking at the same period of time that we look at our LTV. And we actually want to come up with a ratio of LTV to CAC to figure out what ultimately our return is on our customers when we acquire them. And if your LTV to CAC is super low, it means one of two things. It means that your CAC is too high or your LTV is too low. And each of these metrics in isolation should be examined. And we should be looking at how we can maximize this ratio of the two things together and make them work inversely. So, LTV and CAC are my next couple of metrics that I would encourage you to look at because now that we've identified that the machine is operating effectively, LTV is a great measure of your product's effectiveness, by the way, and product quality because it's a signal that people are staying with you, people are investing in you, people are buying from you, and that people are spending a lot more money with you, maybe upsells. Now, CAC is an indicator of acquisition cost, right? So we're looking at acquisition efficiency and effectiveness. So we've covered basically product and acquisition there. So next, we're going to get into a couple more metrics. This is number 6 and number 7. I'm going to cover these in this episode, but I'm going to explain to you really quickly why they're here. And they're pretty straightforward. After we've gone through the core profitability, cash flow, and then we've looked at LTV to CAC, now we're going to go into a couple of other ones that are probably some unexpected metrics or unexpected measurements, I should say. The next layer, number 6, is your time. Now, time, Shannon, how do you measure that? Wait, what are you talking about? You have like timesheets and like time audits and maybe we'll see. I personally hate time audits. So if I can avoid them, I will. And I will avoid trying to tell you to do something I wouldn't do. But here's the thing. What I would want you to do is picture this. Look at the framework, look at the formula. You have a profitable business. You've made it left through levels 1 through 3. You now have a profitable acquisition strategy, an effective acquisition strategy, an effective product where now you have clients who stick with you in the long term and it's cheap clients to acquire. You're living the high life, my friend. You have a high value business. So then becomes the question, where are you spending your time? What activities are commanding your time? And where could you instead be focusing your time and attention? What I really mean by time is your energy and your focus. So we really have to start examining the areas that you're looking at and looking at the places where you're wasting money and wasting your time. If you are in the details, if you are too close to the decimal point, my friend, we got to get you out of there. Especially if you're running a thriving business that's mastered these first 5 metrics. The next thing I look at is your time and the effectiveness of it. And we have to discuss, hey, you got a machine here that's working for you. Why are you still putting your nose in stuff? Why aren't you hiring the right team members? Why are you still in the details? You know, we got to question that. So that's time. And then lastly, you knew it was coming at some point, taxes. And it's kind of designed to make a point here with taxes because when it comes to financial focus, way too many people overly focus on taxes too soon. And this is really trying to make a point to you. If you've listened to all 7 of these different metrics, that you really don't have to worry as much as you maybe are about taxes until you have fully mastered the core profitability of your business, your cash flow, and your acquisition strategy and your product. Until you have mastered all of that and until you are making so much money from these things, you shouldn't have to worry about your tax bill. And the funny thing is that even if you're stressed out about taxes and you go on this journey with me and we take you through steps 1 through 6, and then you're like, finally, we're at tax minimization. Let's talk about it. 9 times out of 10, by the time we get there, you have a machine that is making you so much money you don't even care about taxes anymore. I find that a lot of people who are stressed out about taxes are also people who are they're it's misdirected concern because there are a lot of people who are really worried about taxes who should be worried about their gross margin, who should be worried about their profit. And you may not realize that because taxes are surface level. Taxes are like the things you want to scratch right on the surface of your skin. But really, there are all these other problems permeating below the surface that you need to be treating. And they're causing these itches. But all you want to do is just scratch the itch, put some cream on it, and move on. And that's taxes. And taxes are going to be the most annoying because they pop up every single year, sometimes multiple times a year, and they show up in front of you. And, it's important, but I think people overly focus on these things. And when it comes down to it, tax minimization is a great goal. But again, if you can make so much money that taxes don't matter and you can effectively manage your cash flow to ensure you have enough to pay your taxes and then some, you're fine. And this is key. So I wanted to make a point here that as we look at the financial priority formula, one of the things that is really important to take home from this is that tax minimization is lowest on the ladder of priority and that you have a lot of homework to potentially do, and that's okay. You have a lot of homework to dig into. Now, if you're saying, "Hey, Shan, you're telling me I shouldn't focus on LTV and CAC until I focus on the first 3?" I mean, ideally, I would like you to spend some time mastering these in order, but that doesn't mean ignore all the other ones in the process. So you can absolutely be working on your LTV and CAC, but I want you to be mastering and obsessed with nailing your gross margin before you try to dump more stuff into the machine. Let's make sure the machine's working. Let's make sure that every dollar you put in gives you more money back. Because, hey, isn't that what business is for? Let's make sure the machine works, guys. So, I really hope you've enjoyed these couple of episodes where we really unpacked this formula. This really does paint the picture and lays the framework of most power sessions. Because after having that conversation with the prospect I told you about, and we went through the different areas of financial focus, what I realized was that really any single one of these areas could be its own power session with you as a business owner. So if you know where you're at. If you know, hey, I got to work on my gross margin and I really want to drill into this, but I don't even know how or where to start, let me know. Hit me up, shoot me a DM at Shannon K. Weinstein on Instagram. Find a way to get in touch with me. Head to our website, keepwhatyouearn.com. Plenty of chances to throw your information out there and I'll give you a call and we can talk about it. I would love to be able to help you with your business and help you really make this a lot simpler, distill this down into a step by step process because I know all this stuff's overwhelming. But I hope these 7 steps have given you a bit of a roadmap to get you from this point of, confusion and scatteredness over to clarity and have you feel like finally I understand all the steps I need to get there, and I know the different stops toward my destination. I may not be there yet, but I have a clear idea of what turns I'll have to be taking. And that to me can accomplish all the goals. So hopefully I'll get to talk to you soon about joining me on a power session, but take all of this with you and start working on this on your business. I would love to hear from you if this is working for you. So shoot me a note nonetheless if you've enjoyed these episodes. Most accountants will try to bill you for those quick questions or make you feel like you're bothering them. And the truth is that the quick questions are what I love about what we do. That's why I created a new and accessible offer for you to be able to message me your questions and get the support you need when you need it. It's called the CFO On Demand. You can now get affordable help and access to me and my team without a high monthly fee. You can also upgrade and get access to a private one-on-one office hours to bring your specific strategies to the table. Want to learn more? Head to thecfoondemand.com or click the link in the show notes. Again, that's the CFO On Demand. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and review on your podcast platform. This small action goes a long way for podcasters to get our message heard by more business owners just like you. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to information about our guests and ways to get in touch with me. We'll see you on the next episode.